In our next segment right now, let's turn our attentions to the Western Conference Finals between Seattle and Utah. The Sonics lead it 2-1 with Game 4 tomorrow here on NBC. Now, despite last night's loss, Seattle has looked very impressive in these playoffs. Shawn Kemp and Gary Payton are the Sonics' best players, but not far behind, particularly in all-round skills, is 6'10" Detlef Schrempf. After last night's game, he spoke with Hannah Storm.
Schrempf posting Morris, whipped right around him. Detlef hits a three.
When people talk about your game, the first word that they always say is versatile. And we really saw that in college at the University of Washington when you started at all 5 positions. But the question is, as a 6'10" ball player, how did you develop that versatility?
Well, some of it is probably that because I started late, when I was 13, 14. Didn't play really until I was 16. And then played soccer, so I'm pretty mobile for my size. But all my coaches always emphasized that every player should know all the positions and all, bring the ball up the court. We always switched in high school. Centers would bring the ball up, the guards would post up, things like that. And I think I just kept playing that way throughout high school and college, and that helped.
Gary Payton says that Scottie Pippen is the best all-around player in the NBA and that you're number 2. Do you agree with that?
He's definitely the best all-around player. Personally, I don't really rate myself. I don't know where I am. I think there are a lot of very good players. Grant Hill obviously can do a lot of things. I'm getting a little older, so I know I can't do as many things as I used to, but I just enjoy playing, and if it's a pass, a rebound, or a shot, I think you get pleasure out of all those things.
When you came to the Sonics in '93, the coaches tell me that you were one of the only stable and steady personalities in the locker room here. How difficult was that for you?
Well, I was a new guy. I didn't say much. I mean, you wanted to say stuff, but people were fighting, and it was different. I'd never been on a team like that before, so I was just, kind of sitting back and looking at everything, kind of amazed because we won all these games, but we were not a happy team, and I'm just very happy that things have changed. Now, a different story.
You're end of the year, so I'm assuming you're not a person that's really caught up necessarily in minutes and statistics. Is that the type of attitude that you try to impart on the younger players here?
Well, I mean, I think every player, you got to have an ego. I want to play 48 minutes, but if you don't, there's no big deal. I think if you win, the main goal is to win, especially now. And we sat down before the playoffs saying that it does not matter who scores 20, who scores 2. Our goal is to win the games and go into the next round. And nobody will remember who did what the round before that. It's all about now and this game. And I think everybody's realizing that because, we're finally here and we have a chance to knock on the door.
George Karl is always reminding everyone that he has 3 All-Stars. He says, Det is my 3rd All-Star. But people tend to forget it because Kemp and Payton have these flashy games. The other teams concentrate on them. Do you like it? Do you like the anonymity, being in the background a little bit?
I don't care at all. I've had my turn. I've been an All-Star. I've scored a lot of points and done all that. I think the older you get, the more you working towards one goal, and that's especially if you haven't won it yet, to get to the championship. And we have such a good team, and we all enjoy each other. We enjoy playing basketball, and it's taken me 11 years. And all this talk about our time is running out. We got to do it. We got to do it. I think finally it's paying off.
Hey, when Detlef first started, they used to talk about him being the poor man's Larry Bird. Now they're talking about him being the poor man's Scottie Pippen. I don't think he's the poor man's anybody. I think he's one of those players who's really unique unto himself, and you see that with a lot of players now in the 90s. His versatility is just unbelievable, and I don't think there has been a player like him, just like there hasn't been a player like Charles Barkley.
And rare is the NBA player these days who is a poor man. In any case, you might make a case, though, that this is the best NBA player ever to come out of Europe.
Right, or a host you might have added, too.
Well, naturally.
He is the best player to come out of Europe. What I got out of that piece, though, is that Gary Payton said that Pippen and Detlef are the 2 best all-around players,